What will the future church look like? What a question to pose. What a question to ask. When we look at the history of the church, the last 2,000 years, when we look at 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, and we reflect upon the Crusades, we think about how in those days people were converted via the sword. People were motivated, influenced to convert, basically become a Christian or die. And in recent times, in the last couple of hundred years, we think of, the church had a different type of conversion method. Had a conversion method where basically become a Christian or you're going to burn in hell. If you're not a Christian, you have no salvation. There's no life after death. Be a Christian or perish eternally to the hell, to an eternal hell. Now, with today's younger generation, how do we convert young people today? We definitely can't convert them by using the methods of 1,000 years ago. No, not at all. Today's generation, they're free thinking. They have their own minds. We can't force, we can't push, we can't manipulate the younger generation into even going to church, for example, let alone actually believing anything that we try to teach them. I guess the church of the future will look much different than what it does today. And if the church of the future doesn't look a lot different than what it does today, the church of the future, no doubt, will be a church with many, many vacant pews, many, many vacant, empty seats. Most large Christian communities are involved in either education or hospitals, the health care system. We only have to think of, the Catholic Church, the Church of England, the Uniting Church, to see that these large Christian communities are responsible for many of our schools, many of our non-government schools, and also many of our non-government hospitals, although they do receive a large amount of government funding. Primarily, they were founded, I should say, by Christian churches, by Christian faith. The future church shall no doubt follow this role model, but shall find itself operating in new fields, new avenues. Like, imagine if in the future the church bought large amounts of land and, members of that church community could rent that land, for example, and put a house on it. They could rent it for just say a 99-year lease, and they could basically live on that land. Housing could become more affordable for these people because they don't need to invest large amounts of money, which they do not have themselves, in purchasing land. They could rent this land off the church, and all they'd have to do is place a house upon it. The church could also get involved in retail, for example, in manufacturing, in other services which are not particularly Christian. What I mean by not particularly Christian are not particularly, common day Christian fields like health and education. The church of the future may be a church that offers a wide range of services to its members, if you like. Its members, its community. And I think this could be a way of conversion. This could be the way that the church could convert in the future by offering a large range of services to its members. Not just schools and hospitals, but land, but housing. As I said, retail, services. The church could be a internet provider, for example. There's no limits to what the church can do for its community. And who better to have as a boss, for example, than a Christian church? And the great thing about being employed by the church is that the church is very much accountable in regards to what it stands for, in regards to its ethics. I would love to work for the church. I would love the church to be my boss. That's what I think anyway.